All right, good Saturday morning, everybody. My name is John Newman from Sports Card Nation. It's time for another episode of Hobby Hotline. I am not on this week's show, but we are having a few technical difficulties. So I kind of started the show. I'll be exiting stage left here in a little bit here, and Chris will take over. We're joined this morning obviously with as you see him on the screen, Samuel Evans and the John Mancini. So we'll be going to three person as I leave, but I had to help with some technical stuff. But before we get started, guys, and I think I speak for all of us on screen and many in the chat room. Tough. I like to think of Hobby Hotline's been around now 4 or 5 years. We've had over 20 different hosts as part of the show, and I don't know, maybe it's me, but I always view everybody who's been part of the show, current or in the past, as sort of a fraternity, as family. And this week, that being said, this week's been kind of tough for the family and for two of our host, if you will. And let's start off with, Orlando Collector's Dream. He posted a video on his YouTube channel about his recent lung cancer diagnosis. On Wednesday, he had half his lung surgically removed in efforts to stop his cancer. Anytime you hear that C word, I think I speak for everyone again. We know the serious nature of that. And Orlando's a great guy. We're thinking about him. I know, he had initially told me a procedure. He didn't go into details. So I didn't find out until watching that video, and hit me hard. It hit me hard. And, as we get up there in age, right, this stuff becomes even more real. And so I think, again, I speak for everybody. We wish Orlando well. We know we're going to see him again. He's a strong dude. He's a tough dude. And, I told him if there's anything he needs, I'm a phone call away. And, we pray for him. I'm a person of faith. So he's been in my prayers every day this week, and will continue to do so. And, keep him in your thoughts and prayers as well as he recovers. And hopefully the prognosis post-recovery as well, that they got it all, and he can, get start the progress, get back on his feet and back in front of the camera again. And I feel like that's going to be the case. And then a day or two after that, Chris Carlin, another one of our hosts, posted that his brother-in-law, Robbie, I'm not sure her last name, but his brother-in-law, Robbie, his wife's husband or wife's brother, was killed tragically by an alleged drunk driver. So our hearts and thoughts of prayers and condolences to the whole family there for Chris and family. That's always a tough deal, losing any kind of loved one, but even more so kind of in that fashion as well. So thoughts, prayers to Orlando, and for recovery and a good prognosis, and thoughts and prayers to Chris Carlin on the tragic loss of his brother-in-law. So it's a tough way to start the show. I wish we didn't have to do that. No one likes, these kind of things, but sometimes in life that happens, and we have to kind of deal with it and do the best we can. So I've rambled on long enough, but two great guys that are so crucial to the hobby, to this show, and we wish them the best we can. So guys, I'm gonna exit stage left, and I might be back at the end, by the end of the show, kind of kind of clean things up, if you will. So again, but we have to keep going. So we're going to talk some hobby. I know some of the topics today is some of the news coming out of the Tops Industry Conference that they have with their dealers and the new policies and programs they're rolling out as well. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna take get off screen here, but from here.
All right, I think I want to second John's comments on Orlando and Chris Carlin. I'll be honest with you. I think I've only spoken to Orlando maybe a couple of times here on Hobby Hotline. I don't really know him that well, but having part of your lung removed, that doesn't seem like something I would want to go through. So anyway, I know it's common to say thoughts and prayers and condolences, but it's not dead yet. So let's kind of save that for hopefully far in the future. So anyway, this is Hobby Hotline. It's May the 3rd. It's episode number 343. Interesting. That was the name of my basic training flight when I was in the Air Force, 343. I don't know if that means anything, but I'm here with Sam. How you doing, Sam?
How you doing? What's going on, Chris?
Just fine. And from the Mangini collection, how you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Good. So I don't know if you guys knew about this week, but Topps had a little shindig in Atlanta where they got most of their real customers, not us collectors, but their dealers and breakers, and got them around to wine them and dine them and do some backslapping and give a little preview of what's to come in 2026. And there was some news that came out. Not sure if you're aware, but Topps is coming back with its bait with football and basketball next year. And there was some news that came out regarding what they're coming out with and when. And I made a whole slide deck on this, and now I can't bring it up. Let's see here.
I know for me, why you find it, I wasn't really paying attention to like what was going on. I've been working on a bunch of like card projects for the National. But I did scroll across my Instagram and see a bunch of satire around, certain people making content about people posing for different pictures and all hanging out together. And I chuckled a little bit, but, it just slipped my mind because I was focused on a bunch of other stuff. I know for me, when it comes, I would love to experience the Topps conference one day just to see it as like a bucket list experience as a collector and someone who like those people who works in the industry. But in terms of like everything that comes with it, it's so like, not in my purview as like, oh, I didn't think about these things, or oh, I didn't know these things were going on. So, but I am excited to see what Topps basketball looks like now that they fully own the license and everything. Because the other ones, I was not a fan of it when it first came out. So that's my thoughts. That's the only thing I can add for that discussion.
All right. Yeah, I think I'd like to go to one of those industry conferences as well, but I don't think we collectors are really that important enough. I know Topps has this little dog and pony show that they throw around the National, but I stopped going to that years ago because it's pretty much the same questions, the same gripes, the same this, the same that. There's always there's always that guy, the Santa Claus guy, who's asking whether Topps is going to come out with Santa Claus cards every year. I just stopped going to that. But there was some news. I can't get my slide deck to come out, so I'll just read you the slides that I have. So when it comes to Topps football, it was revealed that their license with the Players Association goes into effect on March the 1st of next year. And their license with the NFL, which will allow them to put logos on the cards, comes into effect on April the 1st. And they revealed some brand names that they plan on coming out with. And because y'all can't see the slide, these are all labeled as 2025 products. So we're going to get Topps Chrome, Finest, Cosmic Chrome, Black Chrome, and two new products that I don't think have been released before in any other sport, Signature Class and Resurgence. Now, Topps has also said that they are planning to release as many as 8 products beginning April 2026 that will be branded as 2025 products. So for the first time, really ever since football went the exclusive license route, we're going to have this 2025 rookie card class is going to have rookie cards from 2 different companies, Panini and Topps. It's just that the Topps rookies won't be coming until 2026. What do y'all think of that? Having both Topps and Panini rookies for 1 year anyway.
Can they actually do that? I mean,
they will be able to do that beginning April of next year. So this time next year, we're going to be seeing basically an avalanche of of 2025 Topps football products.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not much of a football collector. Doesn't mean much to me.
Well, I think it's great. You get additional, but I've never been a fan of Topps releasing rookie cards for 2025 and 2026 the following year.
Yeah.
It seems to make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's their second year in the league.
Yeah, I mean,
why not depending on the card companies for constantly backdating products. It's like Upper Deck is about to just released a 2023 branded hockey product, and they're going to release another 2 2023 branded hockey products in the next couple of weeks, even though the 2024 season is over and we're now in the playoffs.
Right.
And even though Topps just released 2024 Heritage high number in March of 2025. But I think a lot of these 2025 labeled Topps football products, yes, they're going to come after the 2026 draft, but not before the 2026 season starts. So there's a little bit of ambiguity there.
Mm-hmm.
But, they're going to release 8 football products basically in 3 or 4 months. Is that a little too many products to have?
Of course, but that's the world we live in. What's 8 more?
Yeah, why not?
I was going to say they came up with a tennis set a year or 2 ago, and it was backdated like 2 or 3 years.
2022, yeah.
It was absurd.
Let me get some comments in the chat here. Mangini can't wait for the next Topps Cosmic Chrome release. He loves it. Listen to the new names. He said it was out of this world. So I don't get Cosmic Chrome. I mean, if you're trying to make a product like the Skybox metal sets from the 90s, well, then make it look like a Skybox metal set from the 90s. Use etched foil and not chrome.
I don't know why they just don't partner with Upper Deck to say, can we borrow the license to keep that like brand authentic instead of trying to like replicate something that they fell over and over with again.
Yeah. Well, don't borrow the license. Just make the cards on the etched foil rather than the chrome stock like it used to be.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Can we use smaller words, please? Huh. Okay. And Mookie Chilson, I have a love relationship with tennis cards. Now, technically, love means 0 in tennis, so I don't know if that's you love tennis cards.
Well, how do you spell it? LOVE or LUV?
LOVE, yeah.
Okay.
I'll wait for the Cosmo Kramer Topps Chrome. Yeah, a card set made for nothing apparently. So that's Topps football, and
man, that chat's on fire.
And from what I understand from my sources that were there, yes, they are going to have a Topps flagship football brand, probably not a 2025 labeled one, but even though they didn't mention it in their presentation, there will be Topps flagship football. But apparently there will not be Bowman football. Not yet, anyway. I'm not sure if Bowman football has the kind of panache that it does in baseball. But
so that'll be 9 sets?
I think they're going to hold off until the actual 2026 season to make a flagship set. So,
oh man, it'd be nice to have another 8 Bowman sets.
Oh yeah. Oh, me too. Anyway, let's moving on. Topps' plans for basketball. Now, they already have the Players Association's license, so they can include, and you've noticed the last couple of Topps basketball products have had current players, just not logos. The NBA license with logos goes into effect on October 1st of this year. And there are no plans for them to make any 2024, 2025 products, but they did include a list of brands for 25, 26. And those include, again, Flagship, Finest, Cosmic Chrome, but not Topps Chrome, Motif, Inception, Diamond Icons, Topps 3, which is a brand that they just introduced, I think, last month, Resurgence, and Eternity, which, some brands that we're used to. I know Finest was a big brand for basketball collectors back in the day.
I'm looking
from
forward
my
to
sources. They say that Cooper Flag is going to be heavily pushed in a lot of these products next year when they get the license. So before I continue, what do you guys think of that lineup for 2025, 2026 Topps basketball?
I know for me, the only one I care about is Finest because that was connected to, my childhood as a collector in the 90s. So I want to see if they like stay true to like some of those great insert cards that came out of Finest. So I'm looking forward to that. And, I'm not a big modern card collector. I often buy those cards and I give them away to my students. But I would love to like reminisce and relive those moments, seeing some finest finally for basketball.
Well, you will get your wish, apparently.
All I could tell you is my head's spinning, man. You need to have like a PhD in calculus to figure out all these new sets. It seems like a lot of stress for a hobby that's supposed to
Yeah,
be fun, in my book. But I wonder, with these products being ripped, they break them, and everybody's chasing the hits, and those are the only things anybody wants. What happens to all these other base cards of all these, 30 sets a year or whatever? What happens to them? Are people throwing them away? Are they saving them? I don't see people set collecting. What happens to those cards? What do you guys do with them?
I actually
You
collect
buy a
them.
warehouse to store them in? I mean, what do you do with them?
Like I said,
I mean,
actually
I
collect
yeah.
them. Go ahead, Sam.
No, I set collect some like modern, like some Panini sets. And like I said, oftentimes, like when I'm an educator, I'm a principal, and I often have kids who collect cards. So, and they're fans of a lot of the modern basketball players today. So I often like pass them down to them, and they fall in love with the cards. So I think there are a lot of set collectors out there. I just think for this new generation of collectors, there needs to be that bridging of the gap to teach kids the importance of like set collecting and the joy that comes with that, and the story behind it and the experience. And I think if we cultivate that in the right way, there'll be some responsiveness and a change in that mindset. Because I know often when I do card shows and I host trade nights, especially in my area, the Philly show, and when we do giveaways, my rule for all the kids who's standing in front of me, you cannot throw away the base cards. You actually have to collect them. And I give them that history. And you see, and as an educator, like I've seen eureka moments in children when they learn something new or they get curious about something. And you see that like transfer over to them. And then as you walk around the room, you see them paying close attention to their base cards, and they're taking care of them. They're putting them in top loaders, et cetera, et cetera. So I think as us like older collectors, if we spend the time and find those moments, like even when I'm in like random card stores and I happen to see kids there and I interact with their parents and them, I tell the story of the base card and the importance of it, and that it has a place in everybody's collection. And it's a door opener. So don't discard it. Take care of it and value it.
Yeah.
What do you think breakers do with them all?
Throw them out.
Probably.
Yeah. I would hope,
some base cards are going to be rare because everybody's throwing them out.
Yeah, yeah. I would hope that they do the right thing and like you can donate them, repractice them, because there are a lot of like after school card clubs popping up all around in different areas where those kids could benefit from like having those cards.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is there's millions upon millions of these things at this point. Every year they're making so many cards.
Yeah.
There's way more than enough to go around. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And you certainly have storage issues.
Yeah. I know. I see Sam at. I'm kind of local. I'm in Delaware, and I see Sam at shows, and I see a lot of kids go to these shows, like the Philly show or it used to be called the Sugar House, but that casino show. I see a lot of kids. They got their little
the Fishtown show. Yeah.
Face. I don't see a whole lot of these kids slumped over a dollar box, going through the stacks and trying to knock off a checklist.
I was going to say
anymore.
The kids that I see at shows have more money than I do.
Yeah.
They're buying the
And, I think they're setting a lot of these kids for cases. Disappointment later on. So that's my 2 cents. I want to get into some of the comments. Abel in Vegas says football diamond icons does not make sense as a product name.
No, it does
I
not,
don't
does it?
think no. That's actually going to be for a basketball product. Oh,
Doesn't make sense for that either.
diamond icons in basketball also doesn't make sense. Why not hardwood icons? I think these may be just provisional products, but a hardwood
diamond makes
icon
sense.
structured like the baseball diamond icons. I think that's what they meant by
But
that. That
diamond
would
makes
work.
sense in the modern grading world because, everybody's looking through the loop like you do diamonds. Treat them like diamonds.
Colonel Sanders bucket of chicken, Topps finest chrome eternity diamonds. Don't give them any ideas because they might do that. Base and landfill and
a
chrome
bucket of
is
cards. That'd be
hazardous.
fun.
Chromium causes cancer. Well, it doesn't if you actually collect the cards and don't throw them away.
I don't think it causes cancer if you don't eat them.
If you don't eat them, yeah. Lots of kids at Strongsville. Okay. Crazy that these kids walk around with 5K. I do want to mention one last thing about Topps' plans for basketball, and that is there was a lot of rumor and innuendo going around. From my sources were telling me that they're not bringing back Stadium Club basketball, not yet. And that's because they want to make a play to get either or possibly both Kobe and or MJ into the products. Now, MJ has been an upper deck guy since time immemorial. Then again, so was LeBron. And then Fanatics was able to get the rights to LeBron. Obviously, Kobe's not going to be signing autographs anytime soon, but having his image in your product would still be a big deal. How big of a deal would that be if Fanatics were to get one of those guys, much less both of those guys?
I really don't know, but they probably will. I mean, they're taking over the world. I would guess they will.
I mean,
I'm not a big fan of collecting, old players on modern cards. It's not my thing. So I can't speak to it really. It's not something I would personally chase.
I like some relic cards where you see players, especially from the 90s, and I collect a lot of vintage basketball cards. So I'm a Wilt Chamberlain collector, so I have all of Wilt Chamberlain's playing year cards, his rookie, everything on my list, and I have them all. So oftentimes when I'm at a card show and I see like a modern card of him in a Sixers uniform, because there aren't any during his playing years, there were no cards of him in his Sixers uniform, with the exception when they were the Warriors, but they moved to Golden State. So oftentimes I look for those because they have some good photos of him in that uniform. So I'm a fan of it. It just has to make sense to me, and especially if it captures that 90 insert connection. I'm like, all right, I can buy that. I could add that to my PC. But not all relic cards are equally made. You know what I mean? There's some where they just making them to just try to make money off the product, and there's some that I was like, oh, that was a well made relic card of Larry Bird. I could put that in my PC.
Well, they have some great.
I'm a fan. Yeah, I'm a fan of Kobe being in there. I just don't think Michael Jordan will ever leave Upper Deck.
Yeah. Comment from Steel City DW about Beam Team basketball, and those inserts are really iconic for basketball collectors.
Yeah.
The Stadium Club Beam Teams, and my source was telling me that's the reason why they're not going to bring Stadium Club back until they get Jordan into the product, because they want more Jordan Beam Teams out there.
Hey, do you have the Wilt Chamberlain? Can you see it? Topps poster?
I have a bunch of. I don't have the Topps poster, but I have a bunch of magazines of Wilt Chamberlain.
That Topps poster set is great.
Yeah.
Great images on there.
You got to send me a picture on Instagram so I can check it out.
All right. Yeah,
All right.
I think I have the whole set, if not close to it.
All right. One other piece of news that came out, actually two pieces of news, other piece of news that came out of the Topps industry conference. They announced, and we kind of knew this was going to happen based on what happened in Series 1 baseball, but they are standardizing their parallel rainbow across all products. So from now on, the serial number to 5 level will all be red. The serial number to 25 will all be orange. The serial number to 50 level will all be gold, and so on and so forth. This will be across all Chrome and all other products. And yeah, I'm one that's criticized Topps for putting out too many parallels that nobody really wants, but at least they're making them consistent here. You pull
I
a
like the
green
uniformity.
refractor, it's going to be numbered to 99. You pull a purple refractor, it was 250, but under this new system, it's now going to be 75 from now on. So that consistency, what do y'all think of that?
I love the uniformity. I was, if you're getting into the hobby or starting or getting back in, you take the 1972 Topps design. They make all these cards that look like it. Some of them come from archives. Some of them come from Heritage. Some of them are in the regular Topps. They make them every year. And, it's so hard to identify all these cards. I love the uniformity. It's long overdue.
Ditto. I agree.
Yeah. Someone in the comments said, Mookie, my standard rainbow is Roy G. Biv. I'm not changing. And they kind of do a Roy G. Biv. I mean, the red is 5, orange is 25, yellow or gold in this case is the next level up at 50. Then green is 99, blue 150. And it used to be purple was 250, but now they've moved that to 75. So whatever. Anyway, one last item that came from the Topps conference is this new redemption plan program in Bowman baseball. Now, Bowman baseball comes out this week. And the deal is on 30 selected players who will have rookie cards in Bowman this year. They're going to make a small number of refractors where the rookie card icon in the corner is going to be red. Okay. Now, we don't know how common these red RC cards are going to be. Are you going to get 1 in a box, 2 in a box? Are they going to be case hits? Whatever. But these are going to have for 30 cards. If one of those 30 players wins the Rookie of the Year this year, you would then be able to redeem that for $100 in Fanatics gift certificates. This isn't going to be like the Topps Chrome program where you get store credit at your local LCS. You have to, the store owners are cut out completely in this transaction. You have to send it to Fanatics and you get your $100. And you have, I think, until sometime in October of next year to claim your $100. But you can hold on to that card. And if that player wins a major award over their career, such as an MVP or a Cy Young award, then Topps will then buy that back for an additional $200 per award. So let's say your player wins the Rookie of the Year and then wins 2 MVP awards. You can then trade that in for $500 worth of Fanatic script. If this player gets elected to the Hall of Fame, you can get an additional $1,000 worth of script. So theoretically, you can 25, 30 years from now, when this guy gets elected to the Hall of Fame, your card, you can then trade it in for as maybe $1,500 to $2,000 worth of Fanatics gift certificates.
Of course, with
I have my
inflation,
opinions
30
on
years from
this
now will be
program. I just want to know
$12.
what you guys think.
I just said with inflation, 30 years from now, that'll be worth about $12.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
I think it's brilliant marketing on their part, because what they're really doing is they are capitalizing on both the modern prospecting hobby and the gambling mentality of the hobby. And they're kind of combining those and creating these chases. And in some way, going back to the roots of many baseball cards that were redemption cards in the early days of baseball cards. For instance, in 1926, Spalding released a set, and you could trade the cards in for sporting goods. And it's kind of a throwback to that too. My immediate question is, what do they do with all the ones that are sent into them? Do they destroy them? Do they put them as inserts later? Do they flood the market with them somehow and sell them later? I don't know.
They have been
And
using
then,
some of the buyback Chrome MVP cards, stamping them and then putting them in future year products. But
yeah, and I'm curious if
knows?
most people would redeem them or keep them. If most people redeem them, you could be creating, scarce cards for the ones that aren't redeemed if they're destroying them when they're sent in. Or do they just keep them to flood the market later? I don't know. But it's probably good marketing on their part. Not something I'm going to participate in. But
Yeah,
Fanatics, man, they're driving, they're driving people to their store, and all this cross marketing. We all knew this was going to be happening.
Yeah. Sam, what do you think of this program?
I mean, in my mind, I think I don't know. I'm making this like historical connection, because it's like, when you think about the different markets in cards, right? People buy cards with the hopes of, some people buy cards with the hopes of reselling them and making money off of them. And the idea that they're like giving people like this credit to their organization as opposed to like giving them money, I don't know. I don't know. It just seems strange to me.
Here's what
Once
I think.
again, it's very complicated. Like, you have to really pay attention and a lot of work on your part.
Yeah.
So
I don't know enough about it. Like, I would have to like literally sit down and like read and understand it, and then that way I can formulate like a real opinion about it. Like, oftentimes, like I don't really like put myself in the business side of the hobby. I don't know why. I think I do that on purpose, because I don't want like my joy of collecting to be skewed by this idea of like, oh, I need to sell my collection, or I need to make money off my cards. So I purposely don't do that, but I do understand the idea that this is a business and they want to find a way to capitalize off the business side of it and sustain people's attention of collecting, because history has taught us that oftentimes the hobby goes through these lows where people don't care about cards anymore. So what's one way to get them like to sustain that attention and possibly like give them something to look forward to in terms of like memorabilia, or if you want to buy other stuff from the company and you can use your cards as a form of currency. So that's my initial thought.
Yeah.
You know, given what Mangini said in his early, you know, assessment.
So here's what I think of this redemption program. Okay. You take a look at a list of some of the players that have won Rookie of the Year over the last 20, 30 years. There are a lot of players that were one-year wonders and really didn't do much else afterwards. Now, in order to be eligible for some of the other buyback bounties or redemption values or whatever you want to call it, the player first has to win Rookie of the Year. Okay. So if you pull a card of a guy that doesn't win Rookie of the Year and then goes on to win multiple MVPs and gets elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame, you don't get anything from Fanatics.
Does this count for like all cards or just the modern ones? Like
just these cards that are coming out in this year's Bowman.
Wait, they have to win Rookie of the Year before you're eligible for the other?
Before.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
so
here's why
they won't be
I don't
too
think
much then.
Here's why I don't think Topps put a whole lot of thought into this product, because I looked at the checklist of the 30 players that are going to have these red RC icons. 8 of them are not eligible to win Rookie of the Year this year.
Wow.
And there's a 9th player who had Tommy John and will not even play this year.
The more you explain this, the dumber I find it.
Cards are not even going to be eligible for this buyback program. And I mean, only Topps could do something like this. I mean,
let's go to the comments. Can anybody explain why this isn't stupid?
It is stupid.
It seems stupid now that you explain it like that. I didn't realize that. I thought you could hold their cards if they want anything, you could redeem them.
No,
I know
this year's Rookie of the Year, and almost a third of the players that they've selected are not eligible for Rookie of the Year this year.
Yeah, so if
the comment section is funny right now. You guys can check it out.
Yeah, I wish I could put some of these on here, but suppose one of these guys does get elected to the Hall of Fame 25, 30 years from now. Who's to say that Fanatics even exists 25 or 30 years from now?
Yeah, it's hard to get excited about what's going to happen 30 years from now, right?
Yeah. And again, you mentioned inflation. Is $1,000, $1,100, $1,200, $1,500 worth of Fanatics gift certificates really going to be worth it? I mean, I would expect a rookie refractor of a Hall of Famer is probably going to be worth more than $1,000 cash 30 years from now. That's just my opinion.
That might buy a third of a hat.
Yeah. $1,000 30 years from now, the way we're going, might buy a cup of coffee and
one shoelace,
2 hobby packs of Bowman 30 years from now. So yeah, we're not reading the chat or taking callers today because we've had technical difficulties. Sorry there, Ziggy. We're not ignoring you.
I have opened up some Bowman, especially around like COVID time. I'm not a huge Bowman baseball guy, but you know, oftentimes if I find myself in a store, I see something, I'll get a couple of packs and open them up. But I don't really have no stake in the game when it comes to this buyback program.
I think that's all collectors. We don't necessarily collect certain things, but if we see them at the store, we'll pick them up. That's pretty much a collector's mentality.
I do love baseball cards. You know, the first pack of cards I ever opened up was baseball cards. So, you know, baseball cards are my first love in terms of collecting. But, you know, I pretty much, when it comes to collecting baseball cards, I pretty much live in like the vintage or like the '90s and collecting a lot of my favorite players, like Albert Bell, Joey Bell, and Ken Griffey, and those Atlanta teams and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I have some modern stuff, but I'm not dying to open up modern baseball all the time unless it's like Topps flagship, because some of the designs I like for that. So
Yeah, from the collectors I talk to and hear talk about it, they're opening less and less new product. It's being made for the breakers, really. I mean, they're
Yeah.
pricing your average collector right out of them.
Yeah, I have something that's going to be published any day now on Hobby News Daily about why wax has just become unaffordable for the typical collector. And
Yeah, I mean, it's
I have my
absurd.
reasons. I will not spoil it yet. And
in the early
I'm
2000s,
waiting until that gets published to explain.
Yeah, in the early 2000s, when they started coming out with the relic cards and the signature cards, I mean, the product was exciting, and I would always get great pulls. I pulled a Jackie Robinson bat card, Hannes Wagner bat card, Mickey Mantle jersey card, like all kind of great pulls back then. And I don't pull anything anymore. And to pay that kind of money and get some guy that you'll never ever hear of,
You
is
mean you're
just
not excited about a
exciting.
green diamond die cut Paisley nuclear fractor of the
I mean, if
third
it's of a
string
great
catcher
player,
for the Royals,
but the
numbered to
problem is,
99?
yeah, with football,
It's added value. This
I
is what
always
you
seem
want.
to pull those quarterbacks that you never even see. They never even make the team. And in baseball, players I never heard of and never will, because there's so many prospects in those products. And to pay that kind of money and not get at least a decent pool is very frustrating and just chases people away. So, it's the breakers that are going to do that because they're going to make their money no matter what they pull. It doesn't matter.
Ziggy
But
is on fire in this chat.
what's he have to say about it?
Oh man.
Well, yeah. I mean, I do blame breaking on the elevated price of wax. It's their business model. They have to buy everything that comes down the pike. And so if you have a class of consumer that as part of their business model has to buy your products, you can afford to charge more for that product.
Yeah. I think at this point, breaking has become too big to fail. And it's something that isn't going
Unfortunately,
anywhere.
I think that you're right. So,
yeah.
Oh, it's definitely
we're almost coming up on the 12 o'clock hour. I know we were late today by 10 minutes. I don't know if you guys want to go another 10 minutes more, or you want to end the show now, or
I'm fine with whatever you want to do, but
I'd
love to hear Ziggy's comments, man. Ziggy, no.
I think so Ziggy just said I'm pro breaker. I think there are some breakers who are good for the hobby, because I've crossed paths with a lot of good breakers that I still buy from every once in a while. Now, I'm not in everybody's break because, for me, it's a vibe, it's an energy thing. And if I don't vibe with you and I don't like your energy and I don't like your customer service and the experience that you create, or, just some of the things you say, like, I'm not getting involved with you or to spend my money. And I do think breaking has created another avenue to explore the hobby because I'm an exploration guy when it comes to collecting. That's why I have the hashtag the hobby experience. And I think everybody should enjoy the hobby in their own unique way. However, when the industry tends to shift its focus to one side of the hobby and funnel certain products, and you see certain things like, oh man, I can only imagine what it felt like if a kid went to a store and opened up that pack and found that card that's worth X amount of dollars, that's life changing for them and their family, or just some nostalgic experience that he can tell his children 30 years from now. And I think that's my only con to like breakers, where you don't get those intimate moments anymore that we tend to see sometimes on Instagram and social media, where a kid or someone or a family or a dad or a daughter or someone finds that one card that they've been looking for.
Yeah, and I
So
don't think we were saying anything negative about breaking. We're just pointing out the
yeah,
facts that
yeah,
breaking is really the way, if you're going to buy the hot new products and the expensive products, that's the way you're going to get it now. And the trading card companies are, courting them. That's how you're going to get your boxes, because you're not going to pay $1,300 for a box you don't get a hit on. Only
yeah.
breakers are going to do that. That's just fact. That's not positive. That's not negative. It's just, that's the new hobby. That's the way it is.
So the hell with us then, the collectors.
Well, I mean, the
Ziggy,
card manufacturers have moved away from the collector.
Yeah.
That's just fact.
yeah,
I mean, if you go to Target or whatever, you're looking for some cards, and you might find some MVP hockey, but you're not finding anything good unless you might be there the day they stock the shelves, because it's just
Right.
moved to breakers and flippers, and I call it the hot potato market, where
yeah.
you get a card and you got to pass it. Can't wait to sell it. Hell, I chased the Paul Skeens signature. I bought some blaster box or whatever. Why not? It's $1 million lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Life-changing money. That's the modern hobby.
Yeah.
Good or bad, that's what it is.
I do want to comment something on Ziggy said, and I love Ziggy to death, but I think this is the one moment I've ever agreed with him in a hobby since I've been following him, especially on Instagram. I do think breaking builds communities, because like I said, there are people in the breaking community that I am tethered to, that I still go back when I I want to join this break because I know this person, they're awesome, and I love the community that they create. But the one part that I disagree with, I do think community is still being built in local card stores. There are a lot of card stores in the Philly area that I frequent that has this bridge of a modern card store that appeals to kids, and the old timer card store that appeals to the collectors who've been collecting 30 years. And as someone who's 41 years old and is in the middle of that bridge, I tend to be on both sides and have enjoyed my experience in both of those spaces, going to an old timer store and learning the history and being in that richness, and then going to a more modern card store where there's nothing but kids in there and being able to connect in that family, atmosphere. So I think the hobby is what you make it, and what you put in your purview and what you want to define your experience, you will be able to enjoy. But, I'm not against breaking. I just think community can be cultivated on both sides, and we just got to take the time to experience.
Yeah, and amen to that. That's very well spoken, that the hobby is what you want it to be, what you participate in the areas you want to participate in. And you can ignore all this other stuff if you want.
Yeah.
And Ziggy, I do understand your last point and what you said. I think that's prevalent too. And, I'm not ignoring that, because I know what that feels like as not to bring race into it, but the comment was made. I know what that feels like as a Black man, living in America. But also don't want to demonize every, local hobby store, because, as someone who's been fortunate enough to experience local hobby stores as far as Wisconsin, when one time I'm in a store in Wisconsin and I buy this, vintage, Roberto Clemente card, and the guy charged me, we came up with a fair price, but he wound up charging me $3.60. And when I was outside looking at my receipt, I was like, man, this is wrong. He charged me the wrong price. And I went back in the store and, rectified the situation, because he typed in the wrong, PIN number on the credit card machine. And that started a lifelong connection between me and this card store. So oftentimes, we catch up on Instagram or ask when I'm going to be in the area again. So I think there's the good and bad in the hobby. I've experienced people who didn't want me nowhere near their showcase, and I didn't spend my money with them and never went back to them. And I've experienced people who treated me, like a human being. And I've also seen some breakers, seen some say some outrageous things on their live streams, and I'm like, I never want to spend my money with you because I don't like how you see people or I don't like how you conduct yourself. So again, the hobby is what you make it. And I think, we need to have more of these conversations like this where we have this discourse so that way we can ensure that our ecosystem is one for everybody and everybody has access to it. And that there's, some shared accountability around how we conduct ourselves in this space.
And I'm the same way. I vote with my money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me too. Well, it looks like we made up most of that 10-minute delay. Things worked out at the end. Guys, got anything else you want to mention? Plugs, website you want to plug, or
I know
doing?
For me, I'm working on a lot of cool stuff with the National this year. A lot of things that will be coming out like real soon. So I'm super excited for what the national experience is going to look like over the next 3 years in Chicago, especially, given what I said about just like creating access and belonging in the hobby and just trying to deepen the hobby's reach so kids and everybody can have an experience. So if you're going to be at the 45th National this year, please check out a lot of the experience stuff that I'm going to be doing. And I hope to run into everybody and have conversations, and you could be a part of, what we're creating for the National, because it's been fun, and sitting in the meetings and the conversations and the discussions and the things that I've been cultivating with the people who are leading the National.
All right. Mr. Mangini, got any last parting
words? I'm going to give a little plug. I started a series, and I have a playlist with them all in, meant to be like kind of a Netflix series. It's called Behind the Videos. And I've been engaging with YouTube content creators, and they've been doing videos, giving a look at their card room, a look behind the scenes, at things you don't see when they're just doing a video and showing cards. And it's great. I've been getting great feedback from it. If anybody wants to check that out. Other than that, it's been an honor to be on with you guys. Do something nice for somebody in the hobby. Do something nice for a kid.
There he is.
I had to ugly the panel up here, so I came back. Listen, real quick. Thanks to the chat room. Like Chris said, and I mentioned, some technical issues. We couldn't put, obviously, the comments on the screen. I know you guys tried to read some, Samuel, Chris, and John, and get involved. Thank you to the chat room for being patient with these technical difficulties, if you will. We appreciate that. If you're listening to the show after the fact, just on an audio platform, we appreciate you as well. Just kind of in closing, guys, again, keep Orlando and the Chris Carlin family in your thoughts, and and hopefully we'll be seeing. Maybe we'll be seeing Orlando sooner than we think. Right back on this very program. Which
I just want to say, when there was a big risk with that surgery, so I was antsy until I heard how he came out, and it went well. So that the first part went very well, and now he has a long recovery. Going to be recovering for at least 6 weeks, and so I just want to let everybody know that first part did go well, and they got all the cancer, and he just has to be monitored now to make sure nothing comes back. But really, really, really good news for my friend Orlando. Very happy to hear.
Yeah, no doubt. And if you've seen that video, that was tough to watch. Like
it was like a gut punch, man.
Yeah, I'm an emotional guy. But that even got me more than I thought it would have. And you know, I know he alluded to this could be my last video. I don't think it is, and I'm glad it sounds like it won't be, and that's good news, as John just pointed out. And like I
Yeah,
said,
and I'm
we
like
look
you.
for,
He had told me. I asked him to do something. I asked him to come visit, and he said, "Well, I have a little procedure or something, so maybe in a few months." And he didn't tell me what it was. And when I
yeah.
saw that video, I was like, "Holy cow! I didn't realize it was that."
And that's the other thing. I got the same thing, John. You know, you didn't go into detail. Uh, that's tough to share. Like even with like
Oh
that's like
yeah,
some people deal with that stuff in their own ways, and they're not always the same way. So to make a video and kind of share his medical diagnosis with the hobby community, there's something to be said. That's just the kind of person
well,
Orlando is, and
that's a.
it's. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's a very difficult video to make. It's something very difficult to
Yeah.
share, and that just tells you how much the community means to Orlando. That it was,
Yep.
important for him to let us all know,
And likewise, I think
just in
he's
case he
very
didn't get
important.
a chance to say it. You never know.
Yeah,
Uh,
and that's there's a lesson there, right, folks? Like enjoy the hobby, enjoy life. Sometimes you just don't know. You know, you wake up on a Thursday and you're fine, and you wake up on a Friday and something isn't fine. So you gotta just enjoy things and do the best you can. Again, I look
Yeah.
forward to seeing
And
Orlando.
I think
Go
yeah.
ahead.
To add to what you're saying, like that's why it's very important for everybody to go get a yearly physical. I just had my yearly the other day. Do that blood work. Stay in tune with your health. Take care of yourselves because, like, I often say like life is too long to like not want to take care of yourself or to be upset because you can miss out on moments. But life is also short because you don't know when that time is going to come. So, I'm wishing him good health. I know that resonated with me personally because my father died of lung cancer, and I was 24 years old, sitting in college, finishing up my graduate year, my last year of basketball eligibility, and I had to, prepare for a funeral for my dad who died of lung cancer. So I get it, and you know I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope he recovers and is back to himself.
Yeah, I've sent some messages. I don't know. I haven't heard a response. Again, if you know his numbers, send them. I'm sure he'd be glad to read them and respond when he's able to. That stuff. The power community can go a long way, especially up here. The mental power. So, I look forward to seeing Orlando back on this show when he's able, and that'll be a real fun day, and hope to see it soon. But like you said, John, any surgery, right? Anytime you're having a surgery, you never
yeah,
know, right?
my
So
dad always said, the difference between minor and major surgery is major surgery that's happening to you. When it's
yeah,
happening to you, you never call it minor surgery.
yeah, exactly. So good news on that front, and again, continued thoughts to the Carlin family during a tragic point in time for that family as well. We look forward to seeing both of those gentlemen back on these airwaves as soon as they're able. So, guys, thanks again. Chat room, thanks for your patience with some of the technical difficulties that will happen every once in a while. So we wish everyone well and a good rest of your weekend, and we'll see you here a week from today. Thanks, everybody.
See everyone.
All right.